I want to propose something in this video. So recently there was an article released by livescience.com about a supposed 500 million year old larva that supposedly gives all this insight into our past, gives all this insight into where various bugs come from and all those types of things. But throughout the article, you will see the clear evolutionary bias. At the beginning of the article, the author very matter-of-factly says that the larva is 500 million years old. And if you notice, it doesn't say estimated. It doesn't say by evolutionary standards. There's no, there's no warning or anything. It's 500 million years old. That's that. And then he starts talking about how the fossil is very well preserved, the brain's preserved, the arms are preserved, the limbs are preserved, and even the internal organs are preserved in this fossil. And throughout the throughout the article, he's talking about how this is like a dream fossil to find. And there's even a quote in the article that talks about how amazing the discovery is, because how could something that's 500 million years old be so well preserved? But at least the article on livescience.com, I don't know what the researchers behind the scenes are saying, but a very public science website, livescience.com, the evolutionary bias is so obvious. It's painstakingly obvious that the article is actually relatively cringeworthy, in my opinion, because it really reveals the bias that exists in academia for the old earth Darwinian evolution. And I say that for this reason. So you could get into a debate with evolutionists and they'll give you various reasons why they believe in evolution. I mean, a lot of times people might just say it's because I was taught evolution in high school and college, but there are some people who will give you well thought out reasons. And I consider that fair game. I think that's a fair conversation, a fair debate. But this article, it was cringeworthy because throughout the article, this guy, if a creationist wrote an article like this and just was giving the dates matter-of-factly, oh, we found this fossil, it's 5,000 years old, even though the evolutionists think it's 500,000, it's 5,000 years old. I'm not going to give you any proof. I'm just going to say it matter-of-factly, and because I said it, you need to accept what I say. If a creationist wrote that, not only would it not be taken seriously in the academic world, he would become a laughing stock. But because evolution, Darwinian evolution, and old earth is the agreed upon narrative in academia, livescience.com can post something like this and expect people to just eat it up. But I'm not going to eat it up. I got questions. How do you know this fossil is 500 million years old? And also, the thing I want to propose in this video is that if the scientific world was more open to other paradigms and other explanations for the origin of the universe besides 13.7 billion years ago, a Big Bang happened, and then inflation happened, and then natural selection and random processes gave us the universe that exists now. If the scientific world was at least open to other explanations, such as explanations that the world was possibly designed. Notice the verbiage I'm using, possibly designed. If there was fair game on both sides, I really think that we would excel faster than we are now in the scientific world. But this article, among the many articles published by evolutionary science type websites, clearly show the Darwinian evolution bias. It's almost like there is an agreed narrative in academia that neo-Darwinism, the earth is 4 billion years old, the universe is 13 billion years old, everything we know happened through macroevolution, natural selection, and random processes. Somehow the DNA code, the information that is inside of you, that your DNA, somehow that was written by random chance and processes. It's so biased. it's so biased. And I'm proposing in this video that if multiple sides were considered, like for example, if in that supposed 500 million year old larva, so if it was proposed that maybe this larva is actually quite younger, that's why it's so well preserved. That's why the brain, the arms, the legs, the internal organs, that's why everything is so well preserved, because it's possible that this fossil is younger. In fact, many of our dating protocols, specifically carbon-14 and radioisotope dating, they can't really date very accurately beyond 20,000 years. I don't know how they dated this fossil, but carbon-14 and radioisotope dating, specifically, let me rephrase that. Carbon-14 dating, let me focus on carbon-14. Carbon-14 dating is hard to date stuff beyond 20,000 years because the C14 or the carbon levels inside the fossil would be so low that it would be very difficult to get an accurate reading. And that's not me, or that's not a creationist website quoting this. That is a website. I can't remember the name of the website, but it's definitely, the name of the article was like creationist attacks on carbon-14 dating, answers to creationist attacks on carbon-14 dating. So this is an article by an evolutionary type website. I can't remember the name of the website, but nonetheless, if both sides were proposed, it would be fair game. But it seems like Darwinian evolution is the agreed upon narrative, because if you read this article, the guy in the middle of the article starts going through how this larva, like it's just baffling. It's cringeworthy, because it's like, okay, this larva with the fossils and stuff well preserved, and with the internal organs, then he starts going into how this gives insight into the Cambrian period of history, and it gives insight into how other bugs evolved from this little larva. But it's like, bro, like, you are coming up with all of these various narratives almost out of thin air. Like, because for you to say the complexity of the brain and the limbs and things like that give you insight into the past 500 million years ago, think about how many unprovable assumptions you have to make to get to that conclusion. You have to already start with an evolutionary assumption or bias to get to that conclusion. There's no other way you can, because I don't care how many experiments you do on this larva, you are not going to be able to replay history. It's not going to work. So you have to start with all these unprovable evolutionary old earth assumptions to make it make sense. Read the article yourself. I would encourage you to read the article so you can cringe with me. But it almost sounds like, at a certain part, there's one paragraph where it almost sounds like I'm reading a mythological novel. And I made this video just to bring to your attention the bias in the evolutionary science world. So if you're a college student and you believe in God and you get told all this long earth stuff, just know that in academia, at least in America, there is a strong bias for Darwinian evolution, and a strong bias against creationism and against the idea of God creating the heavens and the earth. Another thing before I end this video is evolution is not some newfangled thing that Darwin discovered and now it changed the earth and it's earth-shattering back in the mid-1800s. Friends, there are Greek philosophers and Greek scientists from the BC era who were proposing this similar things, almost the same thing that Darwin said, that different species evolved into different species and there was no God and no supernatural creation. That stuff goes all the way back to the BC era, my friends. Darwin just picked up on their mythology, made it his own, and we bought it. And we're drinking the Kool-Aid. You know, it's time to wake up, my friends. Do not be deceived. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Much love. Peace.